You can ask your doubts now. Total 19 questions are there in section A. Anyone having any doubt can ask now.
So question 10.
Question number 10. F is a function from set R to set S. Function fx is sin x minus root 3 cos x plus 1. Function is onto what is the interval of S? This is the question. The domain is R. R stands for set of real numbers, where S is not a particular set. S is a name given to some set. In fact, it is codomain of this given set. Sorry, given function. It is codomain, right? It is onto. Therefore, it is range also. So we just need to find the range of this function where x belongs to R. Now, this particular question can be solved with the help of a concept studied in class 11 trigonometry, where you might have learned that a cos theta plus b sin theta, its range is from minus under root a square plus b square to root a square plus b square. So on the basis of that, I will first find the range of minus root 3 cos x plus sin x, which are the first two terms of this function, and this will give us the value minus 2 to 2, because in place of a we will put minus root 3, its square will become 3. Then in place of b we will put sin x, we are basically comparing these two. In place of theta we have x, in place of a we have minus root 3, in place of b we have 1. When you put these values here, this under root thing will become root 4, and root 4 is 2. This is the range of the first two terms. Okay, sin x minus root 3 cos x. Now plus 1 is also there. So how you will write that this thing varies from minus 2 to plus 2. Add 1 to each, you will get the range. So this will be minus 1. When you will add 1 here, it will become fx. And when you add 1 to the right hand side, rightmost side, it will be 3. Because of that, the range of fx is minus 1 to 3. And that is set as only. Why? Because the function is onto. So codomain and range both must be equal. So D will be the answer.
So 15th one.
15th.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Question number 15. We are given a function and the largest interval for which the function is defined. Okay, domain. We have to find the domain with the restriction that domain should be maximum this interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 open. See, they are not exactly asking us to find the actual domain, because they have given the interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So they are saying you find the domain, okay? Find the domain and then you consider only that part of domain which is in this interval. This is the question. And to find the domain of this whole function, we will have to find the domain of the first one and the second one and the third one. And then we will take their intersection, and that intersection, from that intersection, we will consider only that part which is contained in minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, so first part, domain will be R. Why? It is exponential function. It is defined everywhere. Put whatever x you want to, no problem. Second one, we have already studied. This value should be between minus 1 to 1, because it is acting as x for cos inverse. Now from here we will actually find x. So we'll add 1 to each. After that, after adding 1 to each, we'll multiply this result by 2. So this will be 0 close to 4 close. And lastly, we will find the domain of log cos x. Here you consider one important thing. Log cos x means cos x must be positive. Why? Because cos is there in front of log, right? So it must be positive. But actually there will be so many x for which cos will be positive, because if we draw the graph of cos x, you will find infinite values of x for which this cos x is above the x-axis. But we do not require all these x. We require very limited values of x, because ultimately the answer should be contained in this interval. Now let us go in the reverse order. If we consider this interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, this contains first and fourth quadrant. And in first and fourth quadrant, cos is positive. So for the last part, I can take this whole interval as the answer. I hope you understood. Because see, cos x is positive. Have a look at the graph. This is cos x. This thing is given in the question, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Here cos is positive. Other branches will also be there, like 3 pi by 2 to 5 pi by 2, and so on. But we need not to consider other branches. We need to consider only the blue one. Rest we don't want. Why? Not required in the question. In the question it is required only minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And clearly cos is positive in this. Now what to do? We have x belongs to R. From the first one, this is useless. Why? Because x belongs to R will not serve any purpose, because we have to just find those x which are contained in this interval. I hope you are getting it. So from these three, we will take the intersection such that the final answer is contained in this interval. So because of that answer will be x belongs 0 close to pi by 2 open. Why? Because see, let us draw all these on the number line. First we'll write minus pi by 2, then we'll write 0, then pi by 2, then 4. So the second one, 0 to 4 is the answer. And last one, it is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And third one is x belongs to are not required. And this is 0 close to 4 close, right? So now anyone can tell what is the intersection. It is this portion, this one. This is the common. And what its interval? The interval is 0 close to pi by 2 open. That will be the answer of this question. Yes, any other doubts?
Fourth one.
Fourth one. Range of the function. What happened? See, assume this as y. I have taken such type of question as class example. Y equals 2 plus x upon 2 minus x, x not equal to 2. Okay, that is the domain. We have to find the range, cross multiply. When you will cross multiply, you will get 2y minus xy equals 2 plus x. From here, you write x in terms of y. Write x in terms of y. 2y minus 2, take x common, this is 1 plus y. X equals 2y minus 2 upon 1 plus y. What is the range? Y not equal to minus 1. Y not equal to minus 1 means y belongs R minus minus 1. This is the answer. Okay, just a minute. Yes. Any other doubt?
So 14th one.
Sorry, one is 14th, other one? After 14th, two students were speaking. Any other doubt?
So the same one.
Same, all right. Any other doubt from this exercise?
So 18.
18th one? Okay. Statement based.
12.
12th. Domain. All right. 12, 18,
17.
17.
7.
Seventh one. Seventh is class example. Please go through the notes. You'll find all these questions there. Though we will discuss, no problem, but it saves the class time actually. Okay, let us see them first. If you have any other doubt, we'll see later. So, all right, 17th. I am solving question number 17. For real x, fx equals this, then f is, okay, everything is given. Domain is given. For real x means domain is R. And if you look at the options A, B, C, D, what is given but not onto R? F is onto R, like that. That means codomain is R. So for real x means domain, and from the options, every time with onto they are using capital R, that means codomain is R. So they are asking whether in this, with respect to this domain and range, is this function 1 onto or not? See, question is very easy because I will prefer differentiation method for this. We hardly use it right now because we are not that comfortable in differentiation. There are so many properties, everything. So we better prefer this method after we studied differentiation. But here it is very easy actually. Consider this function and differentiate it because differentiation is very easy. F dash x differentiation will come, you use formula of x to the power n, differentiation of x to the power n. You will get this, and now anyone can tell that it is positive. Why? This is sum of two positive numbers. And I told you that if f dash x assumes only one sign, either positive or negative, it will be a 1 function. So 1 is okay. And regarding range, we have written a direct note for this. Range of polynomials of odd degrees are if domain is R. Range of polynomials of odd degree is R for domain R. So domain is R, range is R. That means codomain and range both are same on 2. And what is basically the reason? If you want to understand why range is R, either you should know how to draw its graph, which you will be able to make after studying the chapter application of derivatives. And for now, you can simply do one thing. Just consider this term x cube. So I'm giving you the reason why the ranges are. You could have like directly used it. I told you to use this as a standard result, direct result. So for to get the answer, what you can do? Since domain is R, so if I put infinity, infinity means tending to infinity. Now you are also studying limits, so you can understand. Close to infinity, close to infinity cube will be, almost infinity. Then if you put minus infinity cube odd power, it will be minus infinity. What do you observe? That fx also varies from minus infinity to infinity. So range is R. That means it is 1 onto function. So 1 onto will be your C option. Then let us solve question number 12 first. Question number 12, we have to find the domain. Y equals sine inverse x minus 3 by under root x square. So it is easy. We can see that there is something in square root and something is there in front of sine inverse. So because of sine inverse, we know that this thing should be between -1 to 1. This is acting as x, but we will actually find x now. So for that, we'll add 3 to each. X is from 2 to 4. Now this thing is present in square root, that also in denominator. So greater than 0. This means x square minus 9 is less than 0. From here, we find the factors brought down on the number line. Now we'll take the intersection of the two. To find the intersection, we'll write all these numbers in the ascending order. So -3, 2, 3, 4. First, I will write this one, -3, 2, 3. Then I will use the second one, 2 close to 4 close. Now, we need to figure out what is the common portion. That will be the domain. So x belongs 2 close, 3 open. 2 is present in both, while 3 is not present in the lower one, so it will not be the part of intersection. 2 close to 3 open. Observe the options. Sometimes in hurry we take the wrong answer. So 2 to 3 close A, which is wrong, and 2 to 3 open, which is correct. So B will be the answer. This was your question number 12. 7:14. Okay, let us see 18th question first. Question number 18, basically what is given. Statement 2f is a bijection and statement 1. All right. So basically what is fx here? Fx is x plus 1 whole square minus 1, where x is greater than or equal to minus 1. Okay. So what we can do, we can draw the graph. How to draw the graph? First of all, I will draw the graph of y equals x square. Transformation, y equals x square. Then because of that, I can draw y equals x plus 1 whole square. Shift 1 unit to the left hand side. I hope you remember. Then, and what about this point? This is 0, 1. Now finally we have to draw the graph of fx. So now we will shift this graph 1 unit to the bottom. So what will happen? Since it was passing through 0, 1, now minus 1 is there outside. So now it will pass through 0, 0. Graph will be something like this. And this point will also be shifted by 1 unit, that is minus 1, minus 1. But actually we have to draw the graph only to the right of x equal to minus 1. So our graph, the final graph of this question is, it will start from the vertex only. It will be this. Clearly it will be 1, 1 function. Okay. So statement 2f is a bijection. Okay. F is a bijection. But why they are saying that f is a bijection? Because where is codomain? From here we can find the range. Because this is the actual graph that is required in the question, x plus 1 whole square minus 1, x greater than or equal to minus 1. So if we draw a horizontal line, it will cut at only 1.11 is okay. How come it is on 2? And why it will become bijective? Where codomain is given. They have only given the domain x greater than or equal to minus 1. Where is codomain? So how can I prove it is bijective? And secondly, let us say it is bijective. Then for fx equal to f inverse x, I hope you remember, I told you in order to solve this, we will solve this, right? Because if they will meet at y is equal to x. So because of that, x plus 1 whole square minus 1, this is fx equal to x. Let us solve this. So this is x square plus 2x plus 1 minus 1 is equal to x. This will be cancelled. X square plus x is equal to 0. And because of that, we will get x equal to 0 and minus 1. So whatever are the solutions of fx equal to s, same will be the solutions of this. So statement 1 is true. Because what is the statement 1? The set x is such that fx equal to f inverse x is 0, minus 1. Yeah, that's correct. Statement 2 is correct. If somehow statement 1 is correct. So if somehow statement 2 is correct, because they are saying it is bijection. So either they are assuming on 2, because nothing is given about the codomain, right? So even if we assume that it is on 2 and it is a bijective, then also it is not the correct explanation of the first statement. Why? Why not the correct explanation? Because if on solving fx equal to f inverse x, we are getting 0 and minus 1, then the reason is not that fx is bijective. Reason is that whenever they will meet on the line mirror y is equal to x. So this is the reason that either we solve this or we solve this, we get the same answer. Not that f is bijective. Okay, this is not the explanation. But I don't know why codomain is not given. Codomain must have been given. Because see, in this particular question, this particular question, the range will be minus 1 to infinity, right? Range will be minus 1 to infinity. So they should have said that codomain is minus 1 to infinity. then it will become bijective. Then everything will be all right and B will be the answer, not a correct explanation. Why? Because correct explanation would have been that instead of this thing that f is a bijection, they should have written that the solution of fx equal to f inverse x are same as that of fx is equal to x. Because if they ever meet, they will meet on x, y equals x. This is the explanation. So I don't know why they have not mentioned anything about codomain. See question number 7. F is from R to R. Fx plus y equals fx plus fy. F1 is 7. For all x, y belongs to R. I directly gave you a result for this. You should remember that I told you that it will be of the form fx equals kx. Now f1 is 7. F1 7 means put 1 here. You will put 1 here also, and this value is 7, so k is 7. K is 7, fx equals 7x. Because of this condition, we get k now. Now, what is the question? R1, 2, and FR. FR means FR. So fx is 7x, FR is 7r. 7 common. Sigma r, R1, 2, n. 7 times. Sigma r is what? Sum of first and natural number. 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n. So that is n plus 1 by 2. A will be the answer. Okay, apart from 14, any other question? Apart from question number 14, do you have doubt in any other question? What is question number 14? Fx is a real valued function. This is based on functional equation, right? Fx minus y is fx into fy minus of f a minus x into f of a plus y, where a is constant and f0 is 1. Then you have to express f2a minus x in terms of these four options, any of the four options. A is minus fx, b is fx, then there is some function, some statement c and d. Okay, you have to find the value of f2a minus x in terms of any of these four options. Okay, okay, so we have these values f0, 1, we have to find f2a minus x. Obviously substitutions will be required. We will have to do some substitutions, but before that let us use this thing that f0 is 1. Okay, let us use that f0 is 1. How to use it? In this first equation we will put x0 y0. We have done some questions on this, I hope you remember. So if we put x0 y0, this is f0. Why we are putting this? Because we have the value of f0, and what we will find as a result, let's see. This is f0, this is also f0. This will be fa into fa. Why? Because we are putting x0 and y0. Now f0 is 1, so this is 1 into 1. This is f square a. F square means fa into fa. So fa square is coming 0, and that is why fa will be 0. So because of f0, we have got one more value now, and that is fa. Okay. Now one more relation here. Please note, this is little bit tricky, or you can do it in two steps. First, we put x0. Put x0. If we put x0, what will be remaining here? F of minus y. Okay. This is f0. This is f of y. Put x0 everywhere. This is fa, and here it is f of a plus y. Now use this thing. Use the two results. Use these two results, that f0 is 1 and fa is 0. F0 is 1. 1 into fy. And this is 0 into something. Okay. So that means f of minus y is equal to fy. 1 into 1 is 1. 1 into fy is 0. 0 into 1 is 1. 1 into fy is 0. 0 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 into fy is 0 F is even. F is even function. Remember this condition. F minus x barabar fx. That means what? It is even. Finally, now we should think about the question. We have to find f of 2a minus x, right? So now we should put something such that it becomes 2a minus x here. And these conditions can be utilized. Just a minute. I think this substitution can work. In place of x, whatever substitutions we are doing, that 0 0 put x equal to 0, okay, whatever we are doing in the given equation only, and we have to find f2a minus x. So finally, once again I'm writing it here again, fx minus y equals fx fy minus f of a minus x into f of a plus y. One more substitution is required because we have to find f2a minus x. Okay, what is that substitution? Please note, put x equal to a and y equals x minus a. What will happen? Let us put this everywhere. A x minus a. In place of x, we are putting a here, fx minus a. Here it will be f of a minus a, and this will be your a plus x minus a. What happens on the left hand side? This becomes f2a minus x. What is fa? Remember, fa is 0. We have calculated. Fa is 0. This is f0. This is fx. Okay, this is the answer. Why? f2a minus x equals this thing 0. f0 is 1 minus fx, a option. However, I think this is extra here, not required. We need not to do this step. So what will be the substitutions? First of all, we put x0, y0. This is so obvious. This substitution. Why? f0 is given. We want to use it. So we put f0, we put x0, y0 everywhere. Alright. As a result, I got f is equal to 0. Now after that, this box not required in this question. It may be related to some other. But initially we don't know what result will be used. These are little bit spontaneous type of questions because replacement, no one can learn it. Okay, no one can tell you what to put here. Though f0 is obvious, why this substitution? X equal to n x minus a, because when you will put it here, you will come to your question f of 2a minus x. Now same will be replaced everywhere. Now you know this value fa because of the substitution you did in the previous part, x0 y0, which is 0. So 0 into something, and this will make f0, which is 1, and this is our answer. Okay, so finally f2 minus x is minus fx. So this question was asked in JEE Main in the year 2005. Initially, earlier it was called AIEEE. Okay, sometimes they ask good questions. It is one of them. This is question number 14. Now, do you have any other doubt in this exercise?
Could you solve first one?
First one. Okay, wait. So regarding periodic function, okay, see. Let us check all the options because see all the options are different. First, we will go for elimination. A, C, D are periodic, so B will be the answer. Question is asked, which of the following is not periodic? See, sine 2x plus cos x. You want to check whether it is periodic or not. What is the period of this function? Pi. Because sine x has period 2 pi, it will be 2 pi upon 2. This has period 2 pi. We can find the LCM. LCM do exist, that will be 2 pi. So A is periodic. Tan 4x, this is straight question. Tan 4x, tan x has period pi, tan 4x will have pi by 4. This is also periodic. Log cos 2x. See, log has nothing to do with the period of this function. Cos x has period pi. Sorry, 2 pi. Cos 2x will have period pi. Log cos 2x will have period pi. I want to write one important statement here that will help you out. So since three of them are periodic, so obviously b is remaining, so that will be non-periodic. And it is because of this thing. See, this under root of x. See, under root cos x is periodic. Cos root x is not periodic. Why? Because if this is fx, you replace x by x plus 2 pi. Yeah, it will come same. You put x plus 2 pi in place of x, so cos of 360 plus x will be cos x. But if you will do it here, it won't come same. Why? Because root is present with angle. Root is not present with the whole function, it is present with the angle. So if you want to make any change here, the same changes will appear on the right hand side, and there can be no use of trigonometry here because it is algebraic first. All right. So root cos is periodic, cos root x is not periodic. And what else I wanted to tell you that A and C are obviously periodic. There may be some doubt with respect to D and B. So if we can find somehow that D is periodic, then obviously B will be remaining. Okay. Also remember such type of terms like cos root x, sin root x. Okay, where these irrational powers are present with the angles, they will certainly be non-periodic function. Finally, I want to tell one more thing which will be useful for all of you. If gx is periodic, because this is related to composite function, if gx is periodic, you can note down this thing somewhere. It may not be there in the notes. Okay, if gx is periodic and nothing is known about f, and f may or may not be periodic, whatever, then fgx will be periodic. Then fgx will be periodic. Okay, remember this thing. Now, how to use it here? How to use it here? We have fx as log x. Try to find the hidden functions. I mean, log cos 2x is not completely logarithmic. It is not complete trigonometric. It is actually composite function. It is composite function of these two. If you find fgx from here, so you will put gx here, log gx. What is gx? Gx is cos 2x. Now you can identify that it is periodic. Why? This is non-periodic. Log is clearly non-periodic. Cos is periodic. What about their composite function fgx? Periodic. Why? Remember this thing. Okay. And we have also verified that log is not having any effect on the period of this function. Okay. Also remember this point. This will help you out. So if composite function is has to be a periodic function, the inner function must be periodic. Inner means here gx. Okay. This is the reason. Yes. Apart from this, now do you have any other doubt? I think we have solved almost every type of question here. All right. In the previous class, we were studying about limits and we had completed the fundamental method or the LHL RHL method, right? Alicia, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, whether the notes and this question bank of limits has been shared with you people?
No, sir, not yet.
Not even the notes?
No, sir, it's not under the files folder.
Yeah, only there only. And not even the question bank, right?
No, sir.
All right, thanks. Okay, I will ask ma'am. She'll be sharing right after this class. So, because I will give some questions also for homework. I think we completed one-sided limits also. All right. Now, there will be an important point and then we will move further. Questions of limits. Questions of limits. Wait a minute. Yes, always find always find LHL and RHL in questions involving modulus, greatest integer, fractional part, ITFs, log, exponential, signum. What else left? Piecewise, everything is covered. Modulus, greatest integers, ITFs covered. Fractional part, yes. Okay. Involving these functions, right? Unless they are standard formulae that you will be studying later on. If you remember in the previous class, I took some examples on fundamental method of finding limits, that is LHL RHL method. In most of the questions, answer was coming does not exist. There was this question on greatest integer x, fractional part of x was there, modulus was there, right? Signum was there. In all the questions, LHL and RHL were coming different. And afterwards, you will get some formulae also. So if they are not formulae, or if they are not purely algebraic or purely trigonometric or combination of algebraic and trigonometric, then you have to find LHL and RHL both. Because if you consider, then only two type of functions are not written here. They are trigonometric functions and polynomial or algebraic. Rest all of them are written here. In such type of questions where these functions are used, and if they are not standard formula, I'm repeating again, then you have to always find LHL and RHL. This is very important. Because see, now we are going to learn some different methods of finding limits, the better method, the faster methods, because this is time consuming and boring also, finding LHL, RHL every time. But boring does not mean that you go for shorter methods always. Please remember this note, this is very important. What are the faster methods? So we discussed in the previous class how to evaluate limits. So first is factorization. Now, as the name tells us, we have to factorize. And with factorization, what we will do? We will cancel that term which is leading the whole question towards indeterminate form. Our example. I made the graph of this and I told you that what is the limit of this function 4. Remember? Then I made a table. I solved this question yesterday also by LHL RHL method. Now I am going to solve this question by the factorization. How? No need to find LHL RHL here. Why? Read this. Always find LHL and RHL in question involving this. This is purely an algebraic question. So just factorize, cancel the term leading to indeterminate form, and that will give you the answer. Easiest method for any question. This. X is tending to 2. It is not 2. So x is tending to 2. It is not 2. That means we are not cancelling 0 by 0. We are cancelling a term which is approaching to 0, which is possible. 0 by 0 is not 1. Remember, we cannot cancel. But if I have 0 point something and exactly same value here, then definitely I can cancel it. This will be definitely 1. This is what I'm saying. Now, what is the answer? After removing the term which is leading to the indeterminate form, now the question remains limit x tends to 2x plus 2. So now there is no problem. You put x equal to 2 there. See, I am saying you put x equal to 2. Actually, I am putting x tending to 2. So that is why function is not 4, limit is 4. So whenever I write equal to, what is equal to? Limit is equal to, right? So this is the answer. So what we are going to do in factorization, basically, we are going to use factorization, splitting the middle term, that I think you are using from class 8th or 9th. And what else you will do? You will cancel the common term, put the value, that's it. Solve few questions. And I am waiting, tell me what are your answers. Yes, answer of the second question. Anyone solved second one?
So 3 by 2.
Yes, it will be 3 by 2 because make the factors. This is x minus 1, x square plus x plus 1. In the denominator, we have x square, x minus 1 into x plus 1. After making the factors, cancel it. So after factorization, you cancel the common terms. Now you put x equal to 1 here. So this will be 1 plus 1 plus 1 upon 1 plus 1. 3 by 2, that is correct. Alright, cancelling the common factors. Cancel x minus 1 from numerator as well as denominator. Next question, third one. See, third one. First of all, I will take root x common from here. If I take root x common, this will be minus 1 here. It will be root x minus 1. Can anyone tell me what will be left at the first position? I am taking root x common from x square. What will remain?
X root x.
Yes, x root x. That is correct. X root x will remain. Now after this, after taking root x common, this is x to the power 3 by 2. X root x is x to the power 3 by 2, right? This is minus 1. This is x to the power half minus 1. Now how to solve it? Do not put 1 here because you haven't cancelled anything. If you will put 1, you will get 0 by 0. That is not the answer. That is the uh, form towards which this function is approaching. So you never give the answer like 0 by 0, infinity by infinity. Okay. That means you are telling that which form this question is approaching. So what to do? Write it like this. 3 by 2 can be written as x to the power half to the power 3. And 1 can be written as 1 cube because I am using a cube minus b cube now. So this is a minus b. A is x to the power half. Okay. A minus b into a square plus b square minus ab. Minus ab. In the denominator, we have x to the power half minus 1. This will be cancelled. This will be cancelled. Now put the value, you will get the answer. Because you have cancelled the term, you have identified the term and cancelled the term which is leading to indeterminate form. Put the values here. So what is the answer? This is root 1 is 1 and here it will be 1 and minus 1 will be cancelled. The answer will be 1. Okay. Okay, solve one more question. This is it. Please solve and I am waiting. Yes, anyone got the answer? See, as you can see, that if we will try to find the factors, it will take a lot of time. And most of you might not be even able to find the factor here. Okay. But I will tell you one thing. If we put x equal to 1 here in the numerator and denominator, so it will be 1 minus 2 plus 1. And this will be 1 minus 3 plus 2. Okay. So what you are getting? You are getting 0 by 0, right? So this itself tells you what is the factor. If on putting x equal to 1, you are getting this thing as 0. So x minus 1 will be the factor, right? Similarly, x minus 1 will be the factor in the denominator. But why it is taking time? Because degree is too much, right? So do not go for factorization right now. Some of you might be doing long division method, okay? But that will take a lot of time and we have to solve questions in not more than 2 minutes. So we cannot afford to, waste too much time on this particular question if it comes in the exam, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. No, it should be solved within 30 seconds. And how? That I will tell you. But do not use factorization for such type of questions. If they are easily factorized, it's okay. Then, then I will tell you how to solve it. But before that, questions based on rationalization. So similar to factorization, we have something like rationalization, right? In this, we will actually rationalize and cancel the term leading to indeterminate form. Okay. Rest everything is same. So you know when to rationalize. You find some terms like square roots, cube roots, something like that. Okay. There is the question. Under root 1 plus x minus 1 by x. See, when you will factorize, first of all, I want to rationalize it. Why I want to do it? Because if I am putting x equal to 0 in this question, I will get root 1 minus 1, that is 0. Root 1 is 1 only. I hope you do not write plus minus. Under roots are positive. So root 1 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. In the denominator also we have 0. There's 0 by 0, right? So in order to solve such type of questions, we will rationalize it. Now rationalization can be done in numerator or denominator or both, right? So let's rationalize this. So for this, we will multiply it by its rationalizing factor. Because why we are doing rationalization? Because first of all, I am putting x equal to 0, I am getting 0 by 0. Secondly, by rationalization, it may be possible that I may be able to remove the term which is leading to indeterminate form. So in the numerator, it will be a plus b, a minus b, that is a square minus b square. Here it is x under root 1 plus x plus 1 plus 1. So this is in the numerator we have x, in the denominator we have x. This is under root x plus 1 plus 1. This gets cancelled. It is 1 upon under root 1 plus x plus 1. Now you put x equal to 0, no problem. Half will be your answer. Okay, so this is the way to solve such type of questions. Okay, solve this one. All of you try this question. See, whenever you will directly put some number in the question, you will get those one of the 7 indeterminate forms. And what I told you in the previous class, what we are doing, we are studying the nature of the functions which are approaching indeterminate form. So basically finding the values for studying the nature. So if anyone can solve this question, I'm waiting.
minus half.
Minus half. Okay, let us see. So what you have done, can you explain? Have you rationalized the numerator or denominator?
So both.
Yes, correct. Because it is an example of double rationalization. Because just rationalizing a numerator or a denominator will not help you get the answer which is finite. Like if I rationalize numerator, right? So I will write it like this. I have already multiplied the numerator with its rationalizing factor and I have written a square minus b square. In the denominator, I have written whatever I have multiplied with numerator, I have written in the denominator also. But this is leading us nowhere because even if you put the value of x now in the numerator also it will be 0 and the denominator also it will be 0. So for that you will have to rationalize denominator also. Because of this it is under root 1 plus x plus 1 and in the denominator it will be 1 plus x minus x. We have this value now. Now you can see that x can be cancelled from numerator as well as denominator. Cancelling numerator and denominator, this is leading us to under root 1 plus x plus 1 and this is root of 4 plus x plus 2. And because of that, when we put x equal to 0, we'll get, so we are not getting minus, right? We are getting half only. No negative sign. It's not minus half, it's half only. But yeah, certainly you have correctly observed that we will have to rationalize both. That is important. Calculations may be wrong, but be careful. Okay, another question. Limit x tends to 2. X square minus 4 upon under root 3x minus 2 minus under root of x plus 2 is the question. Yes, anyone got the answer?
So 8.
Yes, correct. 8 is right answer. So here we see square roots in denominator, so we will rationalize it. If you put 2, you will get 0 by 0. So for rationalization, I will change the sign. Same thing I will do in denominator. Because of that, I will get a square minus b square, right? A square minus b square. Now if I simplify this in the denominator, I will get 2x minus 4. But what you will see just merely rationalizing won't help. That's not that you have done the rationalization, you will get the answer. No, try to remove that term which is leading to indeterminate form. That is more important. So for that, you will have to now factorize the numerator, especially the first part, not the second one, first one only. So it is a mix of factorization as well as rationalization. From the denominator, you will take 2 common, cancel. Now you put the value, you will get the answer. So first part will be 4, 2 plus 2. Next part will be 3 into 2, that is 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. Next is 2 plus 2, that is root 4, and the denominator we have 2. So this comes out to be 2 plus 2, that is 4 by 2. 16 by 2, that is 8. Okay, a mix of both factorization as well as rationalization. Okay, after this, I am going to explain a method to you. I have already written there. This rule, some people call it L'Hopital rule, some people call it L'Hospital rule. I don't know what is the rule of some alphabet being silent, but let us say it is some rule. Okay, what exactly we do and where we use this rule? First of all, it is applicable. It is applicable only to forms approaching. It is applicable only to forms approaching 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. First of all, this is important. And now, what is the result? How to use it? What is L'Hospital rule? It is something written in the form fx by gx, where x is tending to a. And the rule is simple. You differentiate. This symbol f dash stands for differentiation. Okay. You simply differentiate numerator and denominator. This is the rule. And you can go on differentiating it for the first time, then second time, then third time, and so on till you are free of indeterminate form. Till indeterminate form continues. Indeterminate form is the 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. Till indeterminate form continues. See, you might have used differentiation many times. You might have learned some basic rules of differentiation like the product rule, division rule, etc. But here we are not applying any of those rules. What we are doing? We are differentiating numerator and denominator separately. This rule is called L'Hospital rule. It is used to evaluate the limits which are approaching 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. Once again, see, this is the favorite question. Limit x tends to 2, x square minus 4 upon x minus 2. Once again it is coming. It comes in every method till now. We solved it in factorization. We solved it by LHL RHL method. We solved it by graph. We solved it by making table. Every time we are getting 4. Let us use this method here also. Why we can use this method here? Because it is approaching 0 by 0. Put x equal to 2, you will get the answer. Okay. Now, if we understand the rule, it says that we have to differentiate numerator and denominator separately. Please note, I am repeating again and again. F dash x, g dash x. F double dash, g double dash. What is f double dash? Differentiating for the second time, third time, and so on. Where you will stop till indeterminate form. I forgot to write one word, that is vanishes. Till, or should I should write till indeterminate form continues. I may have to differentiate it 10 times, 3 times, 2 times. That depends on the question. Like this one is easy. This will be solved in a single step. Now, can any one of you help me with differentiation? Can anyone tell me what is the differentiation of numerator? What you will get when you will differentiate numerator, x square minus 4.
2x.
Correct. And what you will get in the denominator?
1.
1.
1. And that is your answer. That is your answer. Because why? Indeterminate form vanishes. Indeterminate form vanishes, you get 4. You have already solved it, you know this is the correct answer. It is this simple. Provided you know the correct formula of differentiation. Okay, I will just like to ask some of the formula. I hope you know this. Can anyone tell me what is d by dx of log x? What is differentiation of ln x?
1 by x.
Yes, correct. What is differentiation of 10x?
6 square x.
Yes, that's correct. What is differentiation of, just a minute. What is differentiation of e to the power x?
E to the power x.
Yes, same, correct. What is last one? What is differentiation of sec x?
Sec x into tan x.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, just tell me, just confirm one more thing. Have you studied something called chain rule in differentiation? Do you know what is chain rule?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's sufficient for now. That will help you to solve all the questions. Okay, let us come back. Now, see, this particular question can be solved in so many ways, so it's your choice which method you want to select. Okay, but I will tell you one thing. This rule, L hospital, though it may seem very easy and it will solve almost like 70% of the questions, but try to use it less. Why? Because examiner also knows this thing that you find L hospital easy. So they will give you some questions where using L hospital may lead you to lengthy steps, time wasting calculations, etc. I will show you how. Okay. So whatever I'm teaching, everything is important. Do not depend on a particular method only. If you want to make sure that you solve the question in the paper. Limits is easy, it is interesting. Okay, you can solve the question, but do not depend totally on L hospital. Let us come back to the question. This one. Do not use factorization. X tends to 1, this whole thing. Okay. Now we'll see that L hospital will solve it within 10 seconds, 15 seconds. That depends on your calculation. Okay. How fast you are. So limit x tends to 1. Limit x tends to 1. In the numerator we have x to the power 7 minus 2x 5 plus 1. In the denominator we have x cube minus 3x square plus 2. Plus 2. We all know this, it is 0 by 0, right? Put x equal to 1. Do not go for factorization, use L hospital. What we do? We differentiate numerator and denominator separately till indeterminate form continues. Now let's do the differentiation. 7x6 minus 10x4. With 1 you will get 0. In the denominator it is 3x square minus 6x. And you know what, question is over. Why? Put the values. Minus 3 upon minus 3, 1 is the answer. See, it will take only 10 seconds to write the question and solve it. Just differentiate, put the value. Okay. And if someone is doing it with factorization, if you want, you can just give it a try whenever you are free. And try to solve it with factorization. You will come to know how much time it will take. So obviously it is a very fast method, L hospital rule, right? Applicable to questions involving 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. Now suppose I have this question. Suppose I have this question. X square plus 2x plus 1 upon 3x square plus 7x plus whatever. Let's say 5. Now the question is x tending to infinity. Okay. Question is x tending to infinity. Overall the form is infinity by infinity. Infinity square infinity. Infinite 3 into infinity square infinity. Overall it is infinity by infinity. Use L hospital and This time you will have to use L hospital 2 times. I will give you the reason. Let us solve it for the first time. What you will get in the numerator 2x plus 2, in the denominator 6x plus 7. Differentiate separately. I'm repeating again and again. But is the question over? No, not yet. Why? Because till now the question remains in infinity by infinity form. So what you will do? Differentiate one more time. So 2 times differentiation is required and you will get the answer 1 by 3. That's it. Okay, so now you should know when to stop. This process of differentiating numerator and denominator separately can go on, but ultimately you have to stop at the point where indeterminate form vanishes, right? Let me see if anyone can solve this particular question with this method. You don't know anything else, so you have no option but to use this method only. The question is, we are supposed to find only RHL in this question. That is, and the question is x ln x, x into ln x, limit x tends to 0 plus. I want to ask one thing, why they are asking x tends to 0 plus, why not x tends to 0? What could be the reason?
So negative log is not possible.
Yes, correct. Good. Log of negative numbers are not defined, so we are strictly talking about domain. Now let me see if anyone can solve this question. Yes, can anyone use L hospital here? Do you have any idea how to do it?
So is the answer 0?
Yes, answer is correct. Can you explain?
So I went on differentiating.
And how you are doing it? I mean, what is the rule you are applying here? Because it is applicable to 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. So how you are using it?
So like I use the rule of differentiation of like
So
x.
are you using product rule?
Yeah.
But then you are thinking that in the denominator you have 1, right?
Yes.
But then differentiation of 1 will be 0, right? So if differentiation of 1 is 0, if you think you are differentiating it like this, like in the numerator you have x ln x, in the denominator you have 0, you might have differentiated numerator by the product rule. Whatever you are getting in the denominator you have 1, but it will on differentiating it will become 0. So then the answer will become 0 by 0 only. What else to do? Okay, let me tell you. This question will not be solved like this. Upon 1, no. It's a good question. In fact, you will have to write it like this. You will have to write it like this. Ln x upon 1 by x. Are the both same here? Yes. X ln x. This I have written as ln x upon 1 by x. Because ultimately this will go in numerator only. I can write it like this. And also you see that yx can be written in this form. So overall what I have used? Overall I have used that x can be written as 1 upon 1 upon x. And why it is correct here? Because x is tending to 0, x is not 0. If x would have been exactly 0, then writing x as 1 upon 1 by x would have been wrong. But here x is tending to 0. But what is the purpose? Why we are writing it like this? because I am changing it in some form where I can use L'Hospital rule. Ln x, see the graph. This is the graph. At x tends to 0 plus, this ln x, its value is minus infinity. For ln, log is base e, which is greater than 1. And such type of graphs are therefore logs whose base are greater than 1. So in the numerator, we have minus infinity. In the denominator, we have 1 by 0 plus, that is infinity. Minus does not make any difference. Overall question is infinity by infinity. Now use L'Hospital rule. So I was asking you formula of differentiation. So ln x differentiation is 1 by x. And can anyone tell me what will be the differentiation of 1 by x? Because in the denominator we have 1 by x. So what you will get after differentiation?
X raised to minus 2.
Yes, x raised to the power minus 2, or minus will also come, because see, 1 by x is x to the power minus 1. So if you will do the differentiation, it will be minus 1 x to the minus 2. So overall it will be minus 1 by x square, right? Now, before applying any other rule or any other time, try to simplify it. So when you will simplify, you will get only minus x. X square and x will cancel each other one time. Minus will come, but overall answer is 0. X tends to 0 plus. Indeterminate form is removed. It doesn't matter whether you put now 0 or 0 plus or whatever. Ultimately, answer will be 0. So see, your answer was coming correct, but mathematically that was not the right way. So we have to be extra careful while solving questions of limits. But anyways, you will try. Obviously, you will have to try. You can't be right every time. So you will make mistakes, but ultimately we have to learn the chapter. That is important. Yeah, let me take one more question. I hope with this question you might have got some idea what exactly we are doing in L'Hospital. Okay. Let us see if you can solve this question. Limit x tends to pi by 2, sec x minus 10x. And I want to tell you one thing. You know, initially the question was in which form? This question. The question was in the form 0 into infinity. Why? If you put x equal to 0, this is 0. ln 0 plus, I told you graph, it is infinity. So the question was in the form 0 into infinity. And by using mathematics, you change it in the form infinity by infinity. But ultimately, every time you will find one of these 7 indeterminate forms that we are talking about. Okay. Solve this question using L'Hospital rule. Let me see who can apply it. X tends to pi by 2, sec x minus 10x. See, this is the homework from the question bank. It will be shared today or maybe tomorrow morning. And please note one thing. This chapter will be finished very soon. It won't take now, the coming chapters won't take much time. Only indefinite integration, that will take some time. Rest chapters will be completed one chapter 1 week, like that. So this is the homework from the question bank of limits in level 1, question 1 to 14, except these 3. 3, 4, 5, don't do these questions right now. Okay. 1 to 14 except 3, 4, 5, 30 to 42 and 50 to 73. And please solve them, right? Now, lastly, this particular question. Anyone having any idea how to solve it using L'Hospital rule?
0.
Sir,
0, your answer is correct, but let her tell the explanation. I think you want to give the answer.
No, I got minus half.
You got minus half. All right, fine, no problem. Yes, your answer 0. Can you tell me how you have solved it?
So I took sec x is 1 upon cos x and 10x is sin x upon cos x.
Yeah, that's correct.
And
So, yes, wait a minute. So, firstly, in place of sec x, you have written 1 by cos, and 10 you have written sin by cos. So, as a result, denominator will be same and this will be the LCM. First step is absolutely correct. And please note one thing, everybody please note one thing. Initially, the question is infinity minus infinity type. Sec pi by 2 infinity, 10 pi by 2 infinity. Okay. And please note one thing, please don't use such type of maths like infinity minus infinity is 0, right? Please, because this is indeterminate form. We are in class 12th standard. Okay, think like that. And you may commit mistake initially, but please don't repeat this frequently. Infinity minus infinity is not 0, it is indeterminate. Okay. So after changing in sine cos, yes, please proceed. What was your next step?
so differentiating.
Yes, right. So this will be one differentiation of 1 is 0. For sine it is cos, right? And what about differentiation of the denominator?
Minus sin x.
Minus sin x. So after differentiating and simplifying, you will see that it is cos x upon sin x. You put this value here. And yeah, I forgot to tell you one thing. Why we are using L'Hospital rule here? Because after changing in sin and cos, I saw that now the question which was initially infinity minus infinity is now in the form 0 by 0. Put pi by 2 here. Sin pi by 2, 1, 1 minus 1, 0. Cos pi by 2, 0. So that is why I'm applying L'Hospital. This is important. After applying this, now what we do, we put the value. If the indeterminate form continues, I will have to differentiate again. Otherwise, I will get the answer. Cos pi by 2 is 0, sin pi by 2 is 1. This is the answer 0. I hope you might have got it. What is the way to use L'Hospital rule? And finally, yeah, can you explain how you are getting minus half? See, there may be mistakes happen. This is mathematics, okay? We are not learning anything, but can you please tell me how you are getting minus half? What exactly you did?
So I took the numerator instead of 1 minus sin x as sin x minus 1. That's why.
All right, all right. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is it. Okay, this is it. We have completed factorization, rationalization, L'Hospital. Like there were around 8 to 9 methods. I think this will hardly take 2 classes and this chapter will be over. Now we have to be really quick. We have to complete the syllabus. Also, we will try to revise some of the important chapters of class 11th. You can also tell me which particular chapters you want to revise, but we will talk about it in the month of November. Okay, not now. And you can give me the list of the chapters in October. By mid October, I will see how to arrange the classes or how many classes I will have to take. That we'll see. Okay, but for now, let us not leave any homework for any other day, or we should be regular with the classes. All right. So this is the homework and this is the end of the class. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
So
Yes, you want to ask something?
I had a doubt.
Yes.
If x upon 0, where x is not equal to 0, is it one of the indeterminate forms?
Wait a minute. In the numerator and denominator, please specify the numbers. What is there in the numerator?
X, where x is not equal to 0.
That means a non-zero value, right? Any non-zero number.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And what else?
It is x upon 0.
Okay, so you want to say that we have x upon 0, right? Where x is non-zero. So is any limit is given? Is there exact 0 here? Exact 0? See,
Yes, sir, exact 0.
because see, we are studying limits now, right? If we are studying limits, see, there can be a question like x tending to 0, x upon 0. There can be a question like limit x tending to 0, 0 upon x. And there can be a question which you are asking, you are saying that any non-zero number upon 0, right? So if we go for this one, where we have exact 0 upon tending 0, answer will be 0. If we are going for this, in fact, both of them are same. So answer will be not defined. Answer will be not defined, right? Because we have a finite non-zero number in the numerator and in the denominator by 0. So this takes us back to a very basic concept that division by 0 is not defined. Okay. And if we have 0 and 0 both here, then answer will be indeterminate. Indeterminate. These are the points. I think this should be the sufficient explanation. Still you have doubt, you can ask.
No, sir. Got it. Thank you.
All right.